there are going to be a lot of people coming to the library for expertise, purchasing decisions, training. And so you want to be ready so that you're on the forefront and continue to be the beacon of knowledge that libraries have always been.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 196. Are drones coming to your library? To help answer that question, we turn to Ida Joyner, an author, librarian, and doctoral student. Ida currently serves as the Senior Librarian at the Universal Academy School in Irving, Texas. Her first book, Emerging Library Technologies, It's Not Just for Geeks, focuses on artificial intelligence, robotics, drones, driverless vehicles, and many other innovations. Ida has published several articles on drones and how to obtain stakeholder buy-in for implementing technologies. In addition to her writing, Ida is an active member of the American Library Association, the Library and Information Technology Association Division, and the International Relations Roundtable. In this edition of the Drone Radio Show, Ida talks about how drones are being integrated into libraries across the nation and the future of drones in the library system. But before we hear from Ida, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Now you have the option of making a one-time donation in any amount by going to droneradioshow.com/donate. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the costs of production and keep the podcast going and growing. And if you'd like to make a monthly contribution, you can still go to patreon.com/droneradioshow. So let's learn how drones could soon be found in your local library with Ida Joyner. Let's pick up the interview where I ask Ida to introduce herself.
Hello, Randy. My name is Ida Joyner. I'm currently the Senior Librarian at the Universal Academy in Irving, Texas. And I'm also a doctoral student at Texas Wesleyan University, and I'm an author. I just recently published Emerging Library Technologies, It's Not Just for Geeks. That is an overview of various technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, drones, 3D printing, augmented reality, virtual reality, big data, how to get stakeholders on board for implementing the technologies. I've published several articles, too, on drones and other technologies.
In addition to being a librarian, do you also consider yourself an educator?
I have experience in academic libraries, public libraries, and school libraries. So I see myself as both an educator as well as a librarian and a technologist. I've been in the technology field for over 20 years. So I see myself as a technologist, educator. I wear many hats.
How large is the school district that you work for?
We have two campuses. We have a campus in Irving and one in Capel. And so I would say probably about 2,000.
Before we talk about libraries and drones, can you give us some examples of how drones are used in education?
Well, there are many schools that are implementing drones into their curriculum. And what I'm finding in my research is that it's middle school and high school level. And also administrators are using them for developing their marketing materials. But in the classroom, they're used in social studies. They're used in history to make history come alive. They're also being used for school newspapers and also yearbooks. And also they're being used by coaches in sports such as football, track, lacrosse, so that the coaches can analyze plays and test formations and then obtain accurate footage of the practices and sitting back with their athletes and giving them best practice on how to improve.
Who typically owns and controls the drones?
You have some where a teacher has either written a grant or has purchased the drones, or the coaches have purchased the drones. And then you have some schools where the administrators purchase the drones and make them available. And in some cases, they're made available through the library, where the students and faculty and administrators can come to the library and check out and borrow the drones.
Obviously, drones are fun. But do they provide real learning opportunities at the middle and high school levels?
Well, in building the drones, you're utilizing a lot of the quote-unquote state standards. I mean, you're using your math, English, language arts. I mean, that touches upon basically all the standards. And also, of course, math. It's actually touching upon all of the science, technology, engineering, math, STEM. So drones are excellent for teaching STEM. They're being used in some schools actually to teach math through. What's interesting is that it's new, and they're being utilized in very new and creative ways to engage the students.
Okay, let's talk about the library system. Can you tell us how drones are finding their way into libraries?
You have some libraries, such as the University of South Florida. They have drones where they actually loan them out to the public. And they have a digital initiative where faculty members can pair with librarians and others and work on projects. So, for example, Dr. Lori Collins at the University of South Florida, her digital humanities group, they have various projects where they've utilized drones and architectural digs. They also use drones, and this has been a while now, but they had sinkholes in Florida where the ground opened up and homes fell in. And so the media asked Dr. Collins for assistance. And so they utilized drones that were from the library, and they were able to capture all kinds of, video, and they were able to utilize that so that they could determine from the data what happened, why it happened, and then how to fix the problem. But there are other libraries, where public libraries as well, and they purchase drones. And what they do is they have a Drones 101 course, and they designate a staff person who's going to be, quote unquote, the drone expert. And so that person gains expertise in the FAA regulation, whatever they need to know so that they are covered legally. They work with their, of course, legal departments. So that person becomes the expert on using drones. And so they basically utilize the train the trainer model, where they train other staff members, and then they hold classes for the public to come to learn about the drones, and then eventually to actually use the drones in the library, and then to be able to borrow the drones.
Based on your experience, what should librarians consider if they're thinking about adding drones to their inventory?
I think it's a great opportunity for them. And so what they should do is, of course, work with their legal departments to make sure that they cover all of their bases legally, because they need to make sure that if something happens, for example, a person is injured utilizing it in the library, that they're covered. So they need to do research on what drones are available, and then, of course, get their funding together. And they also need to look at, why are they bringing drones into their library? And then as they do the research and pull all that together, and what I would recommend too is first research, know their population, which of course they should. And then once they determine that, look at what drones are available, look at the range, how much money do they want to spend on it, and what kind of training they need to have, and what kind of training they plan to offer. They need to get all their cost information together, how they're going to market this, what kind of workshops they're going to offer, and who on their staff, the most important part, is who on their staff is going to be the lead person on this. So is that person somebody who's their quote-unquote geek on staff, or are they going to need to actually hire a new person to be in charge of the program, or bring in a consultant? So these are some of the things that they need to think about as they're thinking of implementing a drone program. And then also, I would recommend as well. And I've done this because my career has been technology from almost day one. And one thing that I found very successful in my career is when you're looking at bringing in a new technology into your library, to your company, to your organization, it's always good to do your research and to talk to people who have already done this so that you can find out their best practices. Because if somebody has already done this, there are some steps that you might be able to bypass in bringing that technology into your organization. So that's something important that they need to keep in mind. And of course, the budget, how much money are they going to have available? And so they need to do all their due diligence. And then once they do all of that, they need to put it together in a proposal that they will submit to their stakeholders, whether that's the director of the library, whether it's a department head, whether it's their board of directors. But they need to do their due diligence first and put that in a proposal and then move forward from there. I have a checklist that libraries, information centers, organizations should go through when they're looking to implement a new technology into their organization. So I would recommend, of course, taking a look at that and printing it possibly, and then just making sure that you cover all of those bases that I have in my checklist, because I developed that checklist life a little easier for people because I've implemented a lot of technologies throughout my career. And so I have a lot of experience. I've over 20 years of experience getting the stakeholder buy-in and then implementing the technology.
Across the nation, how prevalent are drones in libraries?
They're increasing. I'm here in Texas, and we have our Frisco Public Library here. They've just started implementing drones in their library. The Plano Library, they've implemented drones in their libraries. So as the price of drones drops and more people are purchasing them or want to learn about drones, libraries are purchasing them because it's a good way to get people into the library, because you have people who are coming in saying, oh, I'm interested in buying a drone. What should I do? Because people, when they want to learn about something new, the first place where they go usually is the local public library. So having those drones in there and having those quote unquote dog and pony shows, that's a great way to get people into the library. And so the numbers are increasing for libraries having the drones and allowing patrons, after they go through the Drones 101 workshop, being able to check them out.
That could be a good opportunity for someone to try out a drone before making a decision to buy.
Oh, absolutely. That's been the case for a lot of technologies where they will go to the libraries. And again, that's a good way to get people into the library. And so just having them there, letting patrons come in, giving a short workshop, telling them about the technology, for example, the drones, and then showing them. And then once the people go through an actual 101 course and have signed off on various policies, and then being able to check them out.
How do drones compare with the many other innovations that you've seen integrated into the library system throughout your career?
They're exciting. And this is the case for robots as well. People, especially the younger people, but even some of the older ones, people watch the news, people are on social media. And so there's a lot, on a daily basis, there's an article somewhere on drones. And so people are just really excited about the technology. However, I see it continuing to grow. I see it continuing to expand because there are ways that drones that we haven't even thought of how they can be used. We're going to see, just like Matternet uses drones in Rwanda and other countries to deliver blood to remote areas, we're going to see drones being used to deliver books to hard-to-reach areas. People who are the elderly or who have some kind of a disability where they can't physically go to the library, we're going to see drones delivering books and other library materials to people all over the world. There are articles being written about it right now, and I see that happening. And I see it happening all over the world. There's just such an excitement about drones, and people are just continuing to think about to utilize them in a very positive, fun, educational, engaging manner.
And my final question, Ida, what message would you like to leave regarding drones and the library system?
If you love drones and you're interested in learning about drones, then go to your public library and support your library so that they can afford to purchase drones and to make them available to the public. And libraries, writing proposals, writing grants, do whatever you can so that you can bring this technology into your libraries, and think about engaging ways and collaborations that you can have with drones and with school districts, universities, community colleges. There are a lot of uses for drones, and we've only touched on some of them. So again, I would say definitely pursue them. They're a great tool. Definitely look at collaborations that you can have and think about how you might help some of these people who are being displaced by technology, how you might offer some kinds of workshops for them so that they can be trained in these areas. And also getting your staff members more engaged in utilizing technology, because there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be coming to the library for expertise, purchasing decisions, training. And so you want to be ready so that you're on the forefront and continue to be the beacon of knowledge that libraries have always been. And as far as schools, collaborate with your libraries, work with your librarians so that your librarians in the public libraries, academic libraries, so that you can forge more collaborations and find out how they're utilizing drones. And if they're looking to purchase drones, maybe if you can't afford to buy them, maybe you can, quote unquote, piggyback with a public library, an academic library that can afford to have them, and you can all work together, because in the end, it's all about preparing our students for the future, helping people, whatever level they are, so that they can have healthy, financially lucrative lives.
That's it for episode 196 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Ida Joyner of the Universal Academy School. I want to thank Ida for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about how drones can be integrated into your library, or want to connect with Ida, you can find her on Twitter using Ida_Joyner. You can also find a list of her articles and her book on the Drone Radio Show website for this podcast. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate or patreon.com/droneradioshow. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.